Good morning. So today I'm going to show you how to use a scientific and mathematical approach in order to identify where GenAI can be implanted within your business workflows or corporate functions in order to maximize productivity and increase quality and precision. So when you click on the tick, you see a mind map. And we're talking about the problem space of EDP SAP ISU. So there is a problem statement. When you click on the node, it tells you EDP wants to use GenAI to improve the efficiency, speed to market, and productivity of their business workflows by 30% over the next 3-4 years, whilst increasing quality and precision. That's very important. We don't just want productivity gain, but we also want increasing quality and precision. So let us assume that you're looking at a workflow for your meter read ingestion. So we're talking about meter to cash, and you had a meeting, and in that meeting all the key stakeholders were there, and what they are doing now is they are describing exactly what happens in their process of invalid reads, exception that it creates, reread, simulation, manual overrides, and downstream customer impact. That's the value chain, meter to cash exception, the as-is deep dive that this meeting is about. So you are having a meeting, and in that meeting, we recommend that you don't take notes anymore. You just record the meeting, and then Copilot will transcribe it for you. And this is the transcription of Copilot that we've ported on this tool, the whole thing. And here all the stakeholders were focusing on describing the as-is process of meter to cash exception. And what you want to do now is you want to know where in this process can I implement GenAI so that there is minimum amount of hallucination and maximum value. Of course, as you know, GenAI, it hallucinates, and hallucinations are not software defects. So you cannot use traditional software engineering tools and techniques in order to fix hallucination. You can't. It's part of the process because of the statistical and probabilistic nature of LLM. So in order to give you that efficiency gain and productivity gain whilst preserving or increasing quality, we had to create a solution that uses tools and techniques which are outside software engineering also, and hence the entropy-based assessment. So there will be some places within your business process where GenAI will be applicable and provide value, and some places where you will increase the probability of hallucination, and you should avoid that. So how can we use a mathematical approach to identify that? So after your team's meeting, when this is done, you click on Design and Solution, and we go on Process Mapping. You can choose multiple LLM, and all these LLMs are inside our firewall with our own MS Foundry GPU, so nothing is going outside. And then what you're doing here is you're asking the LLM to go through the meeting transcription, get rid of all the information that are not important, and we fine-tune it to use the principle of lean methodology and Six Sigma to traverse the text of the minutes and extract everything that are required to build a process flow diagram, a BPMN diagram. And that's what the LLM is doing now. You can actually use multiple LLM also that will do it independently. And then we have a mechanism of comparing notes and taking the best bits of all the LLM and generate the BPMN diagram. This process itself would have taken the process engineer after the meeting 2 to 3 hours. And here, in a matter of minutes, we've accelerated that process and remove defects because there are less human in the value chain, so there is less defect injected by the humans, and this is more precise. So this is completed now, and if you click on thumbs up, this will be added to your mind map, so you never lose traceability. When you close this now, you go to your mind map, you will see a red node added, the process map. When you click on the process map, this is what's done. There's a link for a process and then a description of the key process phases, the key system, the main roles, all coming from the transcription of the meeting. So the more deep dive you do among humans on the as-is process, the better this will be. If I click on the process 1 link, you see the BPMN diagram has been created for you. So AMI meter read, data available, you ingest it, technical validation pass, no, yes. All this is being created for you automatically on the click of a button, saving you time. But now you want to know in this BPMN process if it's correct. So you do another validation with the team, a quick one, to make sure that if there are things missing or transition box missing, you can add it by just adding new transition box. But when this is completed, now you can choose a process box and decide if GenAI can help you here to automate that process so that you can get more speed to market, more productivity gain, and higher quality. So for example, if we take create billing orders. So when you click on that, you will see there is a small investigator. When you open the investigator, for that process box, there are a set of annotation fields. These are all the environment variables that impacts your process. And in this case, we're talking about create billing orders. So there is input data type, data complexity, decision criteria, process variability, context dependence, and you've got many of them. And this is a comprehensive list that comes from the principle of lean methodology. These are things that typically impacts a process. Now, what you will do now is another assessment where you will find the type of data, which is identify the structure, the clarity of the input, because the type of data that comes to a process shows the complexity of the process. So for example, here, the input data type, is it structured? Is it semi-structured? Is it unstructured? So you will decide. So if you say it's semi-structured around 56% and then 32% structured, data complexity, it is a little bit complex, moderate, and there are about 32% simple. And you do the same thing for the different, as you ask the expert. You don't need to complete everything. You just need to do the one that are important. But of course, if you do everything, the degree of confidence of the calculation is better. So as you do this, what we are going to do is use that input from the sliders for the different types of the annotation field and calculate the entropy for you. And then when you click on save, it's telling you this is the entropy. It is high entropy, so use GenAI human in the loop for that business process box called create billing orders. So what we're doing here is we are using entropy as a measure of the disorder to find out if GenAI or human judgment will be better. So processes which tends to be very high entropy, it's very chaotic, it's not predictive, it's unstructured, human judgment is better than AI. And places where it's more formal, less chaotic, more structured, more predictive, AI tends to be better than human to take decision there. So here, based on the calculation that we did on all the slider value, we calculated the entropy for you. And then you can do a deep analysis. So as you can see, we've created a report where we give you an executive summary, but more importantly, we also created a hierarchy table of the ownerships and responsibility and accountability, the key dependencies, and a risks assessment using FMEA, which is a very formal way of doing risk assessment, and the control and guardrails, the change management plan, the KPIs, the tool and technologies that you have to use. And now you can decide if the recommendation is GenAI, which is the case here, with human in the loop because it's high entropy. If it was very high entropy, it will tell you use human only. If it's low entropy, just use GenAI. And if it's very low entropy, you don't even need GenAI. You can use classical programmatic software like RPAs, rule base. And here now, You can generate the code that you can push to Copilot Studio, Power Automate, or if you do it in YAML, you can push it to Gemini Enterprise with Vertex. And here, if you choose Copilot and you press download, it will use all the information that it has done from the minutes of the meeting to the BPMN diagram to the calculation of the entropy and the deep dive analysis, and generate the code that you can push into your agentic orchestration engine, and there you can add more information to create your workflow. When it's done, you go on the download, and as you can see, it's generated the code. This is for Power Automate that you can send for Microsoft, but you can also generate YAML that will go to Google. So from minutes of the meeting to BPMN diagram to analysis of the entropy that tells you where it's better to use GenAI or human, and the generation of the agentic code workflow in a matter of minutes rather than hours. And after this, you can go to the next process that you want, click on the investigator and do the whole exercise, formalizing the process. It will calculate the entropy, and then you have a safer way, a risk-managed way of implementing agentic within your workflow. Thank you so much.